Hi everyone, Nathan here. Welcome to Soul Creativity. I'm so glad that you're joining the show, whether you're doing it live or listening to it later. I want to remind everyone that the comments section is up. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them and I will make sure to get to them. And also, if you're watching after the show, please feel free to use the comments section below the video. Either I or Grandmother Spider will get back to you, or both of us. So please take advantage of that. I also want to mention that below the video, there's contact information for me. There's my email address. If you have any questions or comments afterwards that you don't want to post in the comments section. And also, we have Grandmother Spider's website there. And after the video, I will also be adding her Facebook page, which we'll be talking about at the end of the session. So we have a lot of things to cover this evening, and we have a really great show lined up for you. So please stay tuned, and again, feel free to comment and ask questions. So welcome, Grandmother Spider. I have been waiting to have you on. Took us a while to coordinate our schedules, and I think we have great timing following Earth Day last Friday, because we are going to be talking about our connection to Earth and how important that is. So I feel like this is perfect timing. So welcome to the show and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for inviting me. It is perfect timing because the title of this talk is Becoming an Earth Warrior. I guess I should tell your viewers a little bit about something about me in case you don't know. I'm, of course, Spider, and I'm a teacher with the Wolf Clan Teaching Lodge, and I am a Taino ceremony leader. My purpose here at this time is to help the earth and the people through the transition. I do that through herbs, homeopathy, through counseling and medicine wheel work, and through vibrational and sound healing. I have been working with vortex energy, which is a multidimensional energy. And I've written books, and I'm always out talking and doing things because my job is to inspire people and motivate them. So why I titled this talk Becoming an Earth Warrior is because to be a warrior is to be persistent and to stick with what you feel is the truth and what you want to manifest. And of course, Earth, Earth is our home. And in the creation stories that I know, humans are always the last of the creation, and we're given the job to be caretakers of all the life on Earth. So how are we caretakers of life? What do we do for the earth? What do we do for the creature being? Because every thought and action that we have benefits the generations of our grandchildren yet to come, and as well as all of the creatures around us. So during this time, which is chaotic and crazy around us, and we seem to have forgotten our earth energy, our earth connection, and how important that is with us. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. I want to begin with a poem by Joy Harrow, native poet. It's called Remember. So just close your eyes and remember. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon and know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point of time. Remember sundown and the giving away to night. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's. And her mother's. Remember your father. He is your life also. Remember the earth whose skin you are. Red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life who all have their tribes, their families, their histories too. Talk to them. Listen to them. They are alive poems. Remember the wind. Remember her voice. She knows the origin of the universe. Remember, you are all people, and all people are you. Remember, you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember, the dance language is, that life is. Remember. And remember was the word that the star people gave to me when they taught me how to use the vortex. Remember.
That's a beautiful poem, and she is currently our poet laureate.
She is. She's a wonderful writer.
Mhm.
I love her work. Yeah, and this came across my desk right when we were talking about about this presentation. So, spirit guides. Um,
You were
so
meant to read it.
and it fits right in because I wanted to talk about things we've forgotten that we need to remember.
Mhm.
And the first thing that we've forgotten that's really apparent is respect. And this is respect for ourselves personally, our respect for each other, and our respect for the earth and the creatures that are our relations. So, one of my elders, I worked with Grandmother Twyla Nitsch, and she did something really beautiful that I share a lot. And she would put a cup in the middle of a circle, a coffee mug, and she would say, okay, um, I got to preface this by saying that on the medicine wheel, we each have our own truth, and that truth is connected to our purpose and why we're here. And everybody's truth is your individual truth. So she would say, who knows the truth of this cup? And we'd all be sitting in a circle because nobody sits in front of or behind anybody. We're all sitting in a circle. And one person might see the handle, and one person might see a color, a word, or a picture. Another person sees something else the whole way around the circle. But who really sees the truth of that cup? The answer is we all do when we put ourselves together and honor and recognize each person's sacred point of view. So it comes down to respect for each other. Um, in the world today, there's such division because we've forgotten this respect. We have forgotten that the creation story that I know of from my Taino elders is that we're here. The universe, as I see it, consciousness is like a big cloud. And when you come into this body, this walk, this suit that you walk on the earth walk, a little piece of that awareness comes, and that becomes you. And that's your sacred point of view. So the great mystery had a big dream and manifested all of life in every planet, sun, and star in the whole universe, and every one with a separate point of view. So my point of view is unique and special, and yours is, and everybody on this podcast, unique and special point of view. So we recognize that our purpose in life is to honor everybody's unique point of view and learn and dance and with it and become better because of sharing. Well, we have forgotten this. We've forgotten that it takes everybody to see that cup. It takes everybody working together to see that cup. And if we work hard enough, if we really pay attention hard enough, we can even see the inside of that cup. But we're coming out of the fourth world. The fourth world was the world of separation. So we have a lot of institutions that separated us, a lot of institutions of control, and we're seeing them kind of go away because now we're in the fifth dimension, we're in the fifth world. So we have a different pattern here that we're creating. We're creating the pattern. We're creating the path as we go. We are becoming the role models for the fifth
Mhm.
world here. So how do we do that? The fourth world was based on separation and concepts, and that puts us up here in our minds,
Mhm.
thoughts and thoughts to describe and to separate. But in the fifth world, we need to drop down to the heart, to that language of the heart, because it's in that heart language where we have intuition, we have feelings, and this is where we can sense, our ancestors had these ability to sense. You read these old stories about how people learned the healing from the plants. Well, they did it because they went out and talked to the plants. They listened and spoke through their hearts. And we can do that. We have DNA that's waking up now to bring these abilities back to us so that we can do this. We just have to practice. But we're developing that language of the heart now, the language of love that comes through our heart. And when we get out of our head and we get into our heart, then we realize that no matter what we're bantering around up here, no matter what boxes we put ourselves into to create separation, that when we come to our hearts, we're all the same. We're all one. We recognize our common energy. We recognize our common spirit. We recognize that part of the great mystery that we carry inside of us. And so we recognize our brothers and sisters. You look at an animal, you look in their eyes, and your eyes share your wonderful energy. Their eyes share their wonderful energy, and there you are. You can sit and communicate without words. So that's where we're going in the fifth world. I believe that, and it's so beautiful.
That's beautifully said. As you were talking about that, Spider, there was something that stuck with me. And maybe if we can keep this in mind as we're entering the fifth world, you were talking about how we're manifesting it. We're the creators of that world. When you think of it that way, it's also, there's a gratitude with that, and there's a responsibility. And so I think if we can keep in mind that we are actually manifesting and creating, and then keep in mind what type of world do we want for ourselves, for our children, for the earth, for our grandchildren, and just think of it going forward, then I think it changes our perspective of how we want to, what we want to create.
It certainly does. And what we have to realize is that we are creators. What energy and vibration and sound are what is here in the fifth world. Healing is with sound. I work with sound healers. I work with sound healing. It's our thoughts. Our thoughts is the other part of the spectrum. Sound is just vibration that we can hear. There's vibration that we can't hear. And we can give ourselves a hug. We can, and healing. We can project those thoughts by sitting quietly and keeping that vision of the world in our hearts, and knowing that it is so. We don't want to give our power away. We want to stand in our truth, and we know we can create a better world. And our thoughts, continually putting out positive thoughts. What thoughts you put out is what you bring back to you. It's a law of physics. And so if we're constantly worried and we're constantly listening to the news and whatever craziness, chaos that's being stirred up there, what do you think we're going to create? We're going to create more of the same. And I think it's so exciting right now because I see people who are cleaning up the oceans and recycle projects that are amazing, and all kinds of wonderful things, because we are all inspired by the events of the last couple of years to make the changes, and people are starting to go out and do it. It starts with one little action. It starts with yourself and your neighbor, your family, your neighbor, and it goes on from there, because no one action is too insignificant. And they build. And you're definitely right, Naven. It's the gratitude part that we've forgotten. I learned that we need to do gratitude every day. I do twice a day. In the morning, I sit down, I light my sage, I'm grateful for what will come to me in this day. And I'm specific because I'm creating through my thoughts. But here's the thing. The universe has a million possibilities, and we can create any one of them, but sometimes it doesn't happen just exactly the way we think it's going to. At night, I light my sage again, and I think over the day, and then I'm grateful for the things that happen. And even when I have a really crummy day, there's always something to be grateful for. You look out the window and there's a star or a cloud or deer. I live next to cornfields, so
Mhm.
if I feel like, man, it's been a bad day, I look out and there's deer out there. Well, how bad can it be? Thank you. And gratitude and love are two of the highest vibrations that we can hold in our feelings. So then when we can come back to gratitude, we can create more things to be grateful for. That's a good idea. Gratitude changes your attitude. So if we remember that, and all we have to do is think of the earth. The humans have not been great on the earth, but the earth still, like right now in New York where I am, flowers are coming up, even though it snowed the other day. Flowers are coming up and they're beautiful, and the mints in my garden and the trees, and because the earth, unconditional gratitude, unconditional giving to us. If we can be like that, then we can make major changes in the world. So I spoke about truth. That's another thing that we've forgotten. When we come to this earth walk, it's something that we decided before we came who we're going to be and what our gifts are and what our purpose is. And we forget that because it's the process of discovery that leads us to learn what we need to learn to be on our path. And so we call that your truth. So everybody has their own truth, just like we have our own point of view. And when you stand in your truth, you're following what your truth is, not what somebody says you need to do, or not what they say that this is how you're going to look if you buy these dress or something. It's your truth, what you feel in your heart. You know this. When you feel good in your heart, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And there are a lot of people here on this earth walk right now that came specifically to help through this transition. And I hear them, I talk to them, I help them out because they're trying to figure out how to stand in their truth in a world that's kind of crazy. Good way of seeing all sides of the cup and moving forward to become, because in the fifth world is unity and wholeness. We want to become a whole society as a whole. So in the south is a green squash mother. She carries a basket of green squash and brings us the gifts of innocence and open-mindedness. So now we're like the 2-year-old. We want to know everything and how it works, and unbridled curiosity. And then we move to the west. And in the west is a black bean mother carrying the basket of black beans. And here we're quiet. We enter the silence, the place of introspection, where we look within with our inner eyes, hear within with our inner ears, and we hear the messages of spirit. This is where we find ourselves on the vision quest, or ceremonies like the sweat lodge. And then we go to the north. The north is the place of healing and wisdom. And we had the cassave mother carrying a basket of cassave. Cassave is yucca. It's a root. So here is the food that roots us to the earth. And this is where our healing is, and where we recognize that the answers to all of our questions is within. So that's the north. This is also where we meet the trickster spirit and the challenges that come through our life, because that's how we learn and grow, to find a gift behind the lesson or the challenge. That brings us right back into gratitude, and there we go. There's the road to healing. And then in the east, we have the yellow corn mother, who carrying a basket of corn, and she brings us creativity and illumination, because of course the east is the place where the sun comes up and where we can see things clearly, and where we get our inspirations and ideas to share with others. Now we're ready to open up and create a community sharing. So all of this is the realm of the women, moving us along and taking us through our visions and inspirations to create the fifth world, a world for our children and our grandchildren and their grandchildren. And so it's up to us to be the motivators. And I've been talking about this for a couple of years in my presentations, and I'm amazed at the things that the women come up with, because it's already happening. It's already happening, and it's really wonderful. So you can commit to connecting with the earth simply by spending some time out of doors whenever you can. Like all this online stuff that we've been doing is keeping people virtual. We
Mhm.
really do need that earth connection when we have the chance to get it, and to be through your example, because nobody wants to hear anybody up on a soapbox right now. We have enough of those people. You want to, through your example, have people, like you said, Nathan, before, a lot of these people we admire because they make us stop and go, wow,
Mhm.
um, and we can be that way too, simply by sharing, and that way we can leave the future to our children and our grandchildren in a good way. So,
As
um,
you're talking about being, going outside for that connection, it's a good reminder. You know how we're always told when we're working on the computer or on a screen, phone, whatever someone's using, to, what is it, 10 minutes for every hour, to relax your eyes, get them away from the screen. I always think, a lot of times when I'm working from home, I just step outside for a few minutes. And so sometimes we might think, well, I don't have time to take a long walk, or I can't go find a nature trail or go into the woods. It's okay to just step outside. It doesn't have to be a big deal all the time. Even that little bit, I know for me, just walking outside and listening to the birds or watching the clouds for a few minutes. I live in a suburban area, but behind my house, there's a small hillside that's wooded. And I've been so grateful for that because it has really given me so much comfort at different times. And I'll just step out there and just stare for a few minutes at the woods, listen to the sounds, and then I come back in, and not only have I rested my eyes, but I feel like my whole body and my mind has also had, you know, a little bit of rejuvenation.
well, we need that connection with nature, physically, and emotionally, and energetically, and spiritually. We need this. It feeds us.
Exactly.
Like we get, I always say programmed, but there are the sounds that you mentioned. Water. I have water here. I'll go down to the water a lot because it's rejuvenating. But those sounds of the water, the leaves in the trees, the birds flying, and singing, they affect us. They affect our
Mhm.
energy in a good way, like sunlight coming through the trees. Those patterns, it works on us in an energetic way. And there are places where in Japan where they prescribe this forest
Mhm.
bathing, that you can go out and be in the forest. And that's exactly why, and our ancestors knew this. They lived
Mhm.
their lives outside when they could, because the more we connect with nature, the healthier we are in all the levels of our being.
Exactly. We are getting near the end. I was wondering if you might do a heart vortex for us before we do, and if you're up for that, we can do that. And then maybe at the very end, because I know you have a lot of offerings, some of them in person, some of them online. And so I thought maybe you might let everyone know what's going on, how they can connect with you before we actually sign out. But I thought the heart vortex really goes along with what we were talking about and is so beautiful. If you might not
It does.
lead
It
us.
does. And I love sharing it because when we bring our energies together, it amplifies all of those energies. And part of what I do is planetary healing. And if you friend me on Facebook, um, then I put this on Facebook, and I don't do it with any regularity. Just when it needs done, I do it, and I'll put the rainbow picture and I'll put the vortex. It's like a little prayer meditation. So If you want to just close your eyes and just relax for a minute, get your eyes away from the computer. Now we're going to put your feet flat on the earth. We're going to connect with the earth, because even if you're in a house, there is the earth underneath us. So we bring our hearts together in love, with gratitude for the earth, our mother, who gives us all the gifts we need for living. When we connect with the heartbeat of the earth, and we bring it up inside our bodies to connect with our own heartbeat and feel the rhythm of the earth inside of us. And we reach out our gratitude to the trees and plants, to the creature beings, to those that walk this earth with us, to the stone people that create the path that we walk on, to the water, because we're all water, carries the energy of life, to the trees that bring us the air we breathe, and the clouds, and the winds that carry every word we say. We are grateful. We bring our energy to, and our gratitude to the insects, to the crawlers, to the little worms making the soil ready for the seeds to come, to the beautiful flowers blooming for beauty and for the fruits that they will later give to us. We are grateful. We're grateful to all the creatures because they teach us how to live in harmony with each other. And we reach our hearts out in gratitude for all of our brothers and sisters, grandmothers and grandfathers, children and grandchildren all over this beautiful world, because they're all our family, all people of all nations. And knowing that within our hearts we are one, and we reach out our hearts and we reach out our hands to connect together with all those people in all those lands, to create unity and peace. And bring your hands back to your heart and carry this love within. And you can share this when you go outside for a few minutes. You can just give it to the sky, the trees, whatever, and feel their energy and carry it back within your heart. Thank you all for being Earth Warriors. All right, my website is... Huh?
I said that was lovely.
Thank you. My website is below. I do a lot of things. I have books that I've written about vortex energy, the medicine wheel, children's activities with the medicine wheel. I've written about women's moon time and a shorter story for the young girls' first moon time, And I have various offers, from readings to vortex energy sessions here or distance. And if you're in the area, we also do full moon ceremonies. We do full moon ceremonies once a month on phone conference. So if you're interested, you need to get in touch with me about that for the information. And we do ceremonies in the summer here at my fire circle, and also at Lilydale, where I also teach workshop. I have a schedule on the workshop page of my website that you can look at and see the schedule. It's also on the Lilydale Assembly website. I'm doing several healing fires there and a workshop for children, as well as a medicine wheel workshop and a vortex workshop this summer. I'm going to be really busy, and I would love to see you there if you come. And let me see, what else do I have to say? I guess that's about it. On my workshop, everything is spread out. So there's a page for Vortex, a page for the Women's Lodge, whatever. But on those pages, there's a lot of information, and you will find excerpts from my books. And if you get to the page of the survival manual, this is really exciting because I just finished working with a very wonderful person who helped me to edit and redo the survival manual that I wrote 20 years ago. And it's up now, and you can download it from the survival manual page. That gives you some indication on how to make a good earth connection and what you can do to help move through this transitionary time.
That's great news.
Thank you
we
very
do
much
have a
for
comment.
inviting me. Thank you, everybody.
We do have a comment, Spider, from Lori, and she just said she didn't have a conflict on this Thursday night, so she was able to join, and she said thanks for this.
Well, thank you for joining us. The circle can always get bigger, you know?
Yeah, the circle continues to grow. You had mentioned that you're at Lilydale, but you also do stuff in your area, and I know you're in New York, but what part of New York are you in?
I live about 1.5 miles from Lilydale, so it's Western New York, about an hour south of Buffalo. Okay. So if people are in the area and you would like to come, you'll find directions on the Lilydale website because I live right down the road.
Okay, that's good to know. And I want to remind everyone that I'll be putting Spider's Facebook page. I'll be adding that in after we finish here so that you can see how to connect with her and pick up some of the things she was talking about that she posts on Facebook. And so, Spider, I know there's more that we could be talking about. So I hope you'll come back again when we can coordinate our schedules. I'm sure that everyone would benefit from some of the other discussions. And I want to thank you for the poem and the heart vortex. And I want to thank everyone who is listening live and who joins in later. Again, feel free to use the comments section after we end, and someone will get back to you. So have a good day, everyone. And thank you for joining. And thank you so much, Spider. It was wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.